Hello, welcome back. Today we will be continuing with chapter 5 of our favorite book, Stigma, written by Samson or Shobayo. In chapter 5, Nkiru returns to school, but this time she was more cheerful than she left. Tiwa, pleased by her positive demeanor, proceeded to find out what had kept Nkiru in a terrible mood previously. Nkiru battled with the thought of letting her best friend in on the sad news, but later dismissed her skepticism, and then she proceeded to let Tiwa know that she had tested positive to HIV. Initially, Tiwa was shocked by this news and reprimanded Nkiru for joking with something so grave. But when she realized that Nkiru was not joking with her, her entire countenance and attitude towards Nkiru changed. She began to avoid Nkiru and would not let herself get so close to her. Nkiru noticed this change in attitude, and it shocked her at how quickly Tiwa turned her back on her, despite how close and how long they had known each other. Tiwa did not just stop at avoiding Nkiru like she was a plague. She went on to spread the news around the campus, and before long, everyone was avoiding Nkiru. Students would disperse from the cafeteria, lecture halls, and hostels whenever they saw Nkiru approaching. Even Ola and Chuks were not left out of this torture. Soon, Nkiru realized that she bore the stigma of a HIV patient. And that was when she knew that she was being isolated by everyone, including her best friends. She worried about a lot of things, like if she would ever get married, have children, finish her education, or even have any friend again. Just as she was musing over all these thoughts, Larry appeared behind her, asking to join her. He inquired about Tiwa, whom he called Nkiru's sister. Nkiru did not want to let Larry know that things had gone bad with her and Tiwa. But to her surprise, the news of her status had also reached Larry. Initially, Nkiru did not understand what Larry wanted from her, even with her condition. But Larry reassured her that he would be her friend, so that everyone could see that she still had friends. Nkiru welcomed his company, but with reluctance. They sat together and had a very long conversation. Finally, it was time for Larry to leave, and he stretched out his hand for a handshake and was amused at Nkiru's hesitance. He chided her for being withdrawn and informed her that HIV cannot be transmitted by a handshake. He then promised to educate her further about the disease when they met again. He also noted that he would rather suffer HIV, guaranteed he got a long life, than other terminal diseases like cancer. As they were left, Larry insisted on holding Nkiru's hand so that everyone could see that they were together. He expressed his deep appreciation for her beauty and wondered why she was so beautiful yet very humble, which is uncharacteristic of other bells in the campus. Lanre's presence made life easier for Nkiru. Tiwa continued to keep her distance, but Nkiru was not bothered about her any longer. Lanre was always with her, filling up the vacuum left by her friends and acquaintances. One day, while Nkiru was alone in her room reading a novel, she received a call from Lanre seeking her company to his home. He wanted to check in with his mother, who he said was not feeling well. Nkiru was not comfortable with what she was wearing, but Lanre reassured her that she looked perfect. Another surprise came when she saw Lanre's car. Initially, she had thought that he had borrowed the car just to impress her, but he then told her that his father had gifted him that car before he passed on as a result of lung cancer. Nkiru had never seen the car earlier because he used to park it in the hostel's parking lot and was only using it for long distance out of campus. Lanre drove them to Victoria Island, popularly known as VI in Lagos, and eventually got into a magnificent house with luxurious interior. While she sipped the juice that Lanre had dropped on the table for her in the sitting room, Lanre's mother appeared. She greeted her respectfully. Lanre's mom, who is also known as Mrs. Onabanjo, complimented her hair as she wondered whether it was real. Mrs. Onabanjo sat down and had a little chat with her son before excusing herself to go get some rest. While they chatted, Nkiru deduced that Lanre had two younger brothers called Yinka and Korede, and that Mrs. Onabanjo still misses her husband, whose death had been 2 years at that time. She had a headache, and according to Lanre, that headache was because she still missed his father. When Mrs. Onabanjo left the two friends, they too decided that it was time to return to the campus. On their way back, Nkiru tried to find out more about Lanre, but he chose to say very little about himself. Instead, he proceeded to lecture her on the death rate of non-communicable diseases, which he stated were responsible for 2/3 of deaths globally in 2011. These diseases include cardiovascular disease, cancers, diabetes, and chronic lung cancer. Those diseases, including diarrhea and HIV/AIDS, have remained top killers during the past decade. Ordinary malaria recorded almost 500 million cases, killing between 1 to 3 million people, mostly in Africa. Tuberculosis killed 1 million people. Cancer caused 1.5 million deaths, and diabetes 1.4 million deaths in 2011. And yet, none of the victims of these diseases have ever been stigmatized. This is probably because HIV is contracted mostly through sex. However, people get HIV from work, such as doctors, nurses, and all types of medical workers, and some by other means aside sex, yet the stigma continues. Cardiovascular diseases killed nearly 17 million people in 2011 alone, which is 3 in every 10 deaths. Of these, 7 million died of heart diseases and 6.2 million of stroke. As of that same year, 2011, approximately 34 million people have HIV worldwide, and only just about 1.7 million deaths was recorded in the same year. Nkiru was very impressed with all these facts that Lanre reeled out for her. She asked him how he knew so much, and he told her that his father's death triggered a search into these diseases. Nkiru then let him in on her plans to relocate out of the campus in order to avoid Tiwa and the other girls. But Lanre would have none of it. For him, Nkiru would take the fight to them by simply ignoring all their mistreatments. His encouragement made Nkiru truly cared for and relieved of all her worries. He was accused of serotonin, but he did not care about anybody's opinions. And you may wonder, what is serotonin? Serotonin is when two people who are HIV positive date each other. And so, everybody in the campus believed that Lanre was HIV positive, simply because he chose to be friends with Nkiru. Now, we have come to the end of the summary of chapter 5, and I would like us to discuss the key points that have been made in this particular chapter. What I will normally call the themes or the recurring motifs that we noticed from reading this chapter. The first one, genuine friendships are a treasure. You know, from what I have narrated, Lanre's presence in Nkiru's life made her more comfortable, made her feel loved, made her not notice the stigmatization she was subjected to by her friends and acquaintances, all because she had a genuine friend in Lanre who really cared for her. The second thing we can get from this chapter 5 is that people are sometimes more than they want people to know. Had it been that Nkiru did not get so close to Lanre, she would not have known that he is from a rich home. He intentionally kept that part of him away from her for some reason. The third thing we can get from this particular chapter is that getting proper education about a disease is far better than speculating about it. We can take a leaf from what Lanre had done. Because his father died of lung cancer, it now prompted him to search about these terminal illnesses. And that is how he got to know that HIV/AIDS is not even killing as much people as other terminal diseases. At least, when somebody is HIV positive, that person has higher chances of living a longer life than when that person has cancer. He wouldn't have known this had it been he did not get a proper education. So it's very important that one gets proper education about diseases or any other thing at all. Anything is better to get proper education than speculating about any topic. The fourth and the final thing we can get from this chapter is that we should never, ever give in to bullies. Instead, we should always stand up to them. Nkiru wanted to move out of the hostel because of the ill treatment she was getting from Tiwa and others. But Lanre said, take the fight to them. Do not run away from them. Do not shrink for them. Remain confident in yourself. You have not done anything wrong. So Lanre validated her, reassured her, and gave her the confidence she needed to stand up to the bullies. So we should never give in to bullies, no matter what. Always stand up to them. Now that we are done discussing the significance of this chapter, let us look at these recall questions that I have here and use them to remember everything we have talked about in this chapter. The first recall question I have here is, number 1, why did Nkiru tell Tiwa about her status? Number 2, What was Tiwa's reaction to that news? Number 3, why did Lanre choose to be her friend? Number 4, why did Lanre need to see his mother? Number 5, what was Mrs. Onabanjo's attitude to Nkiru? 6, what was the cause of Lanre's father's death? 7, which disease had the highest death rate in 2011? Number 8, what is serotonin? 9, what did Nkiru inform Lanre she needed to do next? And finally, number 10, what did Lanre advise Nkiru to do instead? So, we have come to the end of this chapter 5. Thank you so much for being part of this session. We are going to meet again for chapter 6. Till then, have a great day, and please do not forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button for more videos. Thank you and see ya. Bye.